All right, I do want to play you a little Ariel, and I'm going to get your armchair diagnosis of what the hell is wrong with this woman.
We're going to try.
As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on. So do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized, and use the privilege you have in order to push for systemic change. As white people, we have a lot to learn and unlearn. So do check your blind spots.
So there we are.
Yes, sir.
So a couple things. It's funny, when she was treating me like a 5-year-old in that little video, I found myself thinking, when my kids would talk to me in certain ways when they were 5 years old, I would always say, I can't hear you when you talk like that. That's how we would respond to them, to try to adjust their speech. And that's the way I feel when this young lady talks to me. I literally can't. She's saying some legitimate things, but I can't hear it because of the way.
What word was legitimate? None of that was legitimate.
Well, I mean, it's okay to watch for your blind spots. Okay, fine. If I'll watch my blind spots, I make a practice of that. I like to do that, but I couldn't hear it coming from
people. Do you have a rule against correcting any BIPOCs?
No, I don't have a rule against that. But let me just say this one thing. My theme for the day, as I thought about coming in here, is nobody should be telling other people how to live their life. That this is a country based on freedom. And the fact that we have people preaching to us and telling us who we are and how we must live is disgusting. Now, the problem for me is that, listen, much of my career, Megyn, I was casting off the right, who were telling me what I couldn't talk about on the radio, for instance. Yeah, that's true. And that came from, if you remember, the moral majority and the religious right. The right has not yet shaken off that past. The left still thinks that's who the right is. Presently, I receive no feedback from anybody on the right about what I should or shouldn't be saying, other than, good, you're fighting for freedom and the freedom to say whatever the hell you want, and the freedom for me allowing anybody else to say whatever the hell they want. In the meantime, I've got people on the other side who I thought were liberal, telling me what I can say, where I can say it, how it can be said, and actively censoring me, and has been doing so since the debacle of COVID. That's been going on for quite some time now. And we can't seem to reconcile these two worlds. And so we have the left telling us how to live our lives, what to say, what not to say. We have the right saying, hey, fight for freedom. You should be fighting for freedom. Yeah, in the past, maybe we did get a little too excessive with telling you what you should and shouldn't talk about. Sorry, let's get on to freedom fighting. In the meantime, the women like this are manifesting these what's called passive aggressive. That's a passive-aggressive posture.
Yes.
She thinks she's being empathic and attuned and so thoughtful, but underneath it, you feel the seething aggression, which is, I'm telling you, do not interfere with those people because I know better. And it should disgust you. It should disgust you. There's a seething underneath this that is different. It just makes you recoil. That's why I couldn't hear what she was saying. If she just said what she meant, hey, everybody, here's what you ought to do. I think, listen to me. Everyone listen to me. I mean, that's what Trump does all the time. Everyone should listen to me. I've got some ideas. Fine. I'm interested in ideas. I want to hear what you have to say. But when you are preachy and you're passive aggressive, it's extremely unpleasant to receive.
That is so true. That's why you receive it where you're like, I can't stand you. By the way, Batya told us that we needed to see MK Ham's response to that bit. And we pulled a little bit of it for the audience. Watch here.
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. It seems like we've had a little misunderstanding. Sounds like some of you have some silly goose thoughts about race-segregated political meetings. Catch a bubble. We do have special meetings for white women and white men. These people are gathering because they don't want to, does anybody know, because they don't want to be around people of other races? No, that is a super sad choice of how to characterize that. They're gathering together because they don't want Republicans elected. We have to fight white supremacy, friends, by joining white-only groups of friends.
Yeah, exactly right. Nothing says
Fantastic.
I want to be with BIPOCs like excluding them from my call.
But back to the passive aggressive posture of the original video. Do you remember Mary Poppins singing to us about misinformation and disinformation? Do you remember that? That was the same thing. Which remember we had a disinformation czar for 5 minutes.
Oh
and
yeah,
she
I
was
thought you meant
singing-
the actual Mary Poppins, meaning Julie
No,
Andrews.
no,
Yes,
she was
Nina
singing-
Jankowicz. Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
she was putting everything to words of supercalifragilistic or something like that. I don't even remember what the song was, but it was something from Mary Poppins, and that was. Listen to me, you people. But behind that was because if you don't listen to me, we're going to cancel your ass. We're going to censor you. We're going to talk to X, or at that time Twitter. And it really, it's interesting. There is a feeling that is coming up on from the left a lot. If you have any kind of feelings about what's being preached at you, which is disgust. Disgust is the feeling that I'm constantly plagued with. I was disgusted by how some of my profession behaved during COVID. I was disgusted by the censorship. I'm disgusted about the passive-aggressive preachiness. And disgust is a very powerful emotion. It makes us recoil. It makes us push away from things. And don't avoid it. The disgust is telling you something. It's one of our most powerful indicators of something being wrong. If you are disgusted, listen to your brain and body when it's telling you something out there is disgusting, because if it is, there is meaningful material there that you should be addressing or avoiding.
Yes, gosh, that makes so sense. It's just the same way that, like, there's sugar and peaches that made us want to eat them. Like nature has a way of attracting you to good things and repelling you from the things that are not good. Let's take a look at the men. We spent some time on the ladies, the white women for Kamala. Let's take a look at what the white dudes for Kamala were saying.
And I'm so grateful every single day to the people in my life and in marginalized communities that educate me every single day.
Yes, women's freedom is Exhibit A. After Donald Trump demolished the right to choose. But of course, men are also more free in a country where we have a president who stands up for things like access to abortion care.
What a variety of whiteness we have here. We got the dude, we got Pete. It's like a rainbow of beige.
Kamala is carrying on her shoulders 248 years of pain, of agony, of hope, of frustration.
I know that we have a lot of speakers. And afterward, of course, there's another Zoom that I invite you all to called Couches Against Trump, better known as CATS. And J.D. Vance is his mini-me.
That's a pig remark.
I even created my own cognitive test that describes the two of them. Sofa, dolphin, shark, cats, convict.
That's a pig remark. He's a pig. He continues to repeat that smear of J.D. Vance. The guy, I'm not going to repeat it again, but the guy who made up the smear of J.D. Vance with his alleged couch thing is admitting, there's interviews with him now online, admitting he made the whole thing up just to troll people, see if they would go with it. And they did. You've got the sitting governor of Illinois. This is the guy whose family is behind the trans push in all the schools, trying to shove it down little boys' mouths that they might be girls if they like purple. That's him. Out there trying to perpetuate this smear against J.D. Vance, who's done nothing other than serve his country honorably as a Marine, as a U.S. Senator, and now as Trump's running mate. Deeply wrong. Not to mention the celebration of men can be so free when their women can have abortions. Free to do what, Pete? Go on.
Right. And this whole thing, it really, I kind of was disappointed to see so many people that I really admire in this group getting so preachy and so saccharine. And so, frankly, if I had spoken to any of these individuals, let's say a week before, is that how you would have expressed yourself to me about who you are and what you're doing? And this is all sort of grand. Look, everybody's doing what's politically expedient right now. I mean, it's just this weird, I almost want to call it dishonest, or including the things like the hoaxes and the fact that we get swept into these things. So one theme for the day is people telling other people how to live their lives. Not American. That is not something we should be doing in this country. And you should recoil against anybody who's telling you how to live your life. And unfortunately, they are successfully painting the right as having done so with leaving the abortion issue to the states. The really interesting question to any of them should be, hey, if Trump gets into office, do you want him, the federal government, him as president, deciding what you do with your body? No, he doesn't want anything to do with telling you what to do with your body. He left it to the states. And so this business of doing whatever, I say is, again, that should disgust you. But the other thing, the other phenomenon that is so pervasive right now and so very concerning to me is hysteria. And this is, again, what I'm pointing at when I say these men that I admire would not have spoken like this a week ago, but they're swept into this political hysteria around the coronation of Kamala Harris. And I've been reading a lot of history lately, trying to understand our present moment. I mean, in the middle of COVID, I had this crazy experience where a young male security guard just pressed out, was screaming at me at the entrance to the hospital where I've been attending for almost 40 years, "Show me your papers." And I just thought to myself, oh my God, this is how people became prison guards in Germany. This is it. I'm watching it happen. And I was reading some material from 1933 Germany, and the word hysteria came up multiple times, that the Germans were whipped into an hysteria. And I thought, God, I never thought about that period of history as being an hysteria also. Pre-revolutionary France, hysteria. Russia during the revolution, hysteria. Hysterias are very dangerous. It's how we get whipped into mobs. And unfortunately, we have these social media instruments now that encourage mob behavior. And the emotion and the focus on emotion that's flying around and these tendencies to fly from one direction to the other is, strictly speaking, hysterical. And underneath that is something that we are all, I don't want to say guilty of, we all have a piece of in our development these days, is narcissism. Narcissism makes us prone to hysterical excess and envy and empathic failure.
In these crazy times, there's peace of mind in security. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security for our families. But think about this. You're not financially secure if all of your eggs are in one financial basket. Gold and silver can be an amazing way to diversify your savings as a hedge against inflation. They are a physical asset that's in high demand globally. And through Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Yes, you can diversify an old IRA or 401k for no money out of pocket into an IRA in gold and silver. Just text MK to 989898 and receive a free, no-obligation info kit and learn the role precious metals could play in your overall savings strategy. Again, text MK to 989898. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands and thousands of happy customers. Text MK to 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.